Pause for a moment and consider, how often daily do you feel swept away by circumstances, overly affected by others' opinions, or react impulsively, only to regret it later? It's easy to feel this way, caught in a cycle of frustration and emotional exhaustion, seeking external validation, or entangled in unproductive verbal disputes. The outside world often seems to hold the power to shake us at any moment. But what if true strength, the ability to remain steadfast and undisturbed no matter how chaotic your surroundings, didn't depend on changing the world, but on mastering something much closer, yourself? The ancient Stoic philosophers, living in times of great uncertainty and adversity, discovered this fundamental truth and forged a path to cultivate an unbreakable inner fortitude. They understood that the true victor isn't one who always triumphs externally, but one who wins the battle within their own mind. They realized that much of our distress comes from trying to control the uncontrollable and reacting unconsciously. But how is this inner mastery achieved? How do you transform from a leaf blown by the winds of emotion and circumstance into an unshakable oak? This discussion is precisely about that. We will unveil 10 Stoic principles that serve as a practical guide for modern life, teaching you when to hold your tongue, how to transform adversity into strength, and how to find a source of power and serenity residing entirely within you. These aren't empty motivational phrases, but proven tools to build mental resilience and steadfastness of purpose that will make you a true victor, capable of thriving regardless of external influences. If you are ready to stop feeling at the mercy of external circumstances and wish to learn how to develop the inner strength to navigate any storm, then you will definitely want to stay until the end. Each principle shared is a crucial step on your journey toward personal mastery, an invaluable piece of the puzzle for building a life of genuine purpose and power. Don't miss any of them. And if this kind of practical, unfiltered wisdom resonates with you, show it by liking this video now and subscribing to the channel. Also, activate the bell to not miss future content that will help you continue growing and mastering your path. Let's begin. The strength of silence. In a world that glorifies constant chatter and often rewards those who shout loudest, Stoicism proposes a radical and tremendously effective idea. Silence is not an absence, but an active form of power and control. The Stoics understood that the ability to restrain one's tongue, to consciously choose not to speak, is a mark of mental discipline and a strategic tool for the Stoic victor. Every unnecessary word, every impulsive verbal reaction is vital energy that leaks away, distracting you from purposeful action and yielding control to circumstances or others' emotions. While many yearn to be heard at all costs, the Stoic sage cultivates an authority that emanates from their capacity to observe, listen, and speak only when their words possess genuine and significant value. Mastering discourse, according to the Stoics, is synonymous with mastering one's own mind. When provoked, an immediate verbal response is an almost automatic impulse. However, taking a deliberate pause, even for a few seconds before responding, is where freedom and rational strength reside. Epictetus used the metaphor of a ship. Impulsive speech is a rudderless vessel, at the mercy of the winds. Strategic silence is the anchor that keeps you firm, preventing emotional shipwrecks and later regrets. It's not about winning every argument with words, but about avoiding engaging in verbal battles that only drain and divert you from your goals. The power of silence has a multiplying effect. By not reacting verbally to criticism or provocation, you compel the other person to confront the void, the echo of their own words, and often their own insecurities. Marcus Aurelius, a profound connoisseur of human nature, wrote, "Useless words say more about who utters them than about to whom they are addressed." Observe around you, in work meetings, in family discussions. Those who talk incessantly often exhaust themselves and lose credibility, while those who listen attentively and speak concisely and purposefully only when necessary exert much greater influence and are perceived as carriers of a more subtle yet effective power. The Stoics practiced silence as a form of intellectual humility and as a filter for their communication. Before speaking, they asked themselves, "Is what I'm about to say true? Is it necessary to say it now? Is it useful or constructive for the situation?" This mental discipline allowed them to avoid superficial conflicts and conserve their energy for conversations that truly mattered. In an era of overcommunication, practicing this pause, this conscious selection of our words, is more crucial than ever. The Stoic pause is the space that separates mental noise from clarity, the reasoned response from the impulsive stimulus. Stoic silence is by no means a passive stance, but a form of active vigilance. It's like observing a fire without adding more fuel. By refusing to feed toxic conversations or interactions, you cut off oxygen to negativity and prevent it from spreading. Seneca expressed it with a keen metaphor. Words are like knives. The less they are used, the sharper they are. Reserve your words to strike with precision when it comes to building something, never to impulsively hurt or destroy. Integrating the power of silence into your life requires daily practice and mindfulness. Identify situations where you speak out of habit, nervousness, or the desire to fill a void. Try replacing long, self-justifying explanations with concrete, meaningful actions. If someone questions your decisions, show results instead of endless arguments. In moments of tension, breathe deeply and count mentally to 10. This brief pause restores your control and breaks the cycle of automatic reactivity. With time, strategic silence becomes a natural part of your character. You are not someone who speaks little, but someone who chooses their words wisely and whose silence radiates a quiet strength. Mastering your responses. The external world, with its constant flow of unpredictable events and challenging interactions, seems intent on disturbing our inner peace. An unexpected criticism, a frustrating setback, others' behavior that infuriates us. Everything seems to have the power to unbalance us. However, here lies one of the most potent lessons of Stoicism to become a winner. It's not the external event that controls you, but your response to it. By becoming irritated, by losing your calm, you voluntarily surrender your power and your state of mind to factors outside your control. The Stoics saw it with complete clarity. If something external disturbs you, it's because you have given it permission. Your reaction, and only your reaction, is your inviolable domain. Stoic mastery begins with the rigorous distinction between what is in your power, your judgments, your impulses, your desires, your aversions, and what is not, others' bodies, others' reputations, external events, health, death. The words and actions of others clearly fall into the second category. If someone seeks to provoke you, their goal is to generate an emotional reaction in you, to drag you to their level of agitation. However, if you react with rage or frustration, you become predictable, easily manipulated. In essence, you become a piece in the other's emotional game. The power of the Stoic winner lies precisely in refusing to play that game, in maintaining serenity and demonstrating that your internal balance is not for sale or at the mercy of others' capricious behavior. The Stoics did not advocate for the suppression of emotions, which is unsustainable in the long term. They recognized first impressions, those initial emotional impulses, anger, fear, frustration, as natural responses. However, the key lies in what you do after that first impression. Do you allow that impulse to grow, take control, and dictate your behavior? Or like a Stoic, do you activate your rational judgment? You can choose not to feed that initial response, to distance yourself, breathe, and ask, is it really worth sacrificing my peace of mind for this? Most of the time, through this rational filter, you'll realize you're about to surrender your valuable state of serenity for an insignificance. For the Stoics, uncontrolled anger was not a strength, but a clear sign of weakness, a sign that the person had not yet fully possessed themselves. They believed that true strength was responding to provocations with calm or even gentle indifference. Imagine the frustration of someone trying to anger you, and you respond with serenity or a calm smile. You have taken away all their power. This is a strategy. You conserve your emotional energy for what truly matters and protect yourself from being manipulated by the negativity of others. A useful practice is to visualize a mental barrier around you. When negative words or actions try to reach you, imagine them bouncing harmlessly off that barrier. This visualization reinforces the idea that nothing external can penetrate your inner strength without your consent. When you feel irritation rising, stop, breathe deeply, and relax your body. This simple physical exercise breaks the cycle of emotional escalation and puts you back in the driver's seat of your reactions. Ultimately, What irritates you only has power over you if you grant it. Stoicism empowers you to be selective with your energy and attention. You don't need to react to every small provocation. Choose your internal battles wisely. By learning to be the master of your reactions, you become unshakable, someone whose peace cannot be disturbed by external chaos. And it is precisely there that immense power resides, the ability to live with a lightness and freedom achieved only by those who have conquered their inner kingdom. Free yourself from external opinions. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek the approval of others, thus weaving an invisible web of external expectations around ourselves. The fear of being judged becomes a subtle engine that drives our decisions, from how we dress to the ideas we dare to express. However, this incessant search to please everyone distances us from our authentic selves. The Stoics recognize this pattern as a form of slavery, a self-imposed prison of fear and self-sabotage. To be a winner in the Stoic sense, one must break free from these chains and recognize that the only opinion that truly matters, because one lives with the consequences, is one's own. Stoic philosophy is clear and liberating. Focus your energy only on what you can control. Others' opinions of you are completely outside your sphere of influence. You can live with the highest integrity, act nobly, and always seek good. And yet, inevitably, you will encounter both criticism and praise. Trying to control what others think is an exhausting and futile effort. Power lies in directing that energy where you can make a difference. Your own thoughts, your attitudes, and your deliberate actions. When you internalize this truth, you access a form of personal freedom that strengthens you. Stoicism goes beyond simply ignoring superficial criticism. It proposes deep introspection. Why do you care so much about others' opinions? Often the fear of external judgment arises from an internal insecurity about who you are and what your values are. Great Stoics like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius emphasize the primacy of self-knowledge. Knowing your fundamental values and what truly matters to you is the most effective shield against social pressure. When your decisions are based on your inner compass, others' opinions lose their power to destabilize you, because you know who you are and why you do what you do. A useful Stoic practice is negative visualization regarding external opinion. Imagine the worst possible scenario. You are criticized, rejected, publicly ridiculed. Then ask yourself, does that change my essence? Does it prevent me from acting according to my values? The answer is no. Most people are too busy with themselves to remember your missteps or supposed flaws in the long term, and it is you who lives with the consequences of your decisions, not those who judge you from a distance. This exercise strengthens you and gives you the courage to act according to your principles, even if it means risking others' disapproval. Understanding that seeking everyone's approval is impossible and counterproductive is another step towards Stoic freedom. Even the most admired figures in history have been criticized. What distinguishes people who live authentic lives is their willingness to be true to themselves, even if it means disappointing others. External validation is volatile, changing with fads and whims. Self-respect, on the other hand, is built on the solid foundation of decisions that align with one's own values. True liberation and lasting power arrive when you stop asking, "What will others think?" and start asking, "Can I respect myself if I make this decision?" The goal is not to be accepted by the world, but to accept yourself completely. Only then do you achieve Stoic ataraxia, that imperturbable peace that does not depend on external applause or criticism, but on daily commitment to your own inner truth. Silence your complaints. Complaining has become such a deeply ingrained habit that we often operate on autopilot, emitting a constant stream of laments at every minor challenge. Traffic, the boss, the weather, the economy. There seems to be an inexhaustible supply of reasons to express our dissatisfaction. However, this propensity to complain is, for the Stoics, a sign of powerlessness and a constant drain on energy. How many times has a complaint actually solved anything? The answer is, rarely. Complaining doesn't change reality, but it does reinforce the feeling of being a passive victim of circumstances, which diminishes your power. To be a Stoic winner, you must break this cycle and redirect that energy toward constructive action or acceptance. Stoic philosophy presents us with two rational paths to address difficulties. If you can change the situation, act to change it. If you cannot change it, accept it with serenity. Complaining fits neither of these categories. It is neither action nor acceptance, and therefore, it is unproductive. The problem is that complaining has become so common that we don't even realize how much it shapes our perception of the world, keeping us focused always on what is lacking, on what is wrong. It takes awareness to recognize this addiction and the harm it does to our personal power. The Stoic masters warned that complaining wastes our most valuable asset, the present. When you complain, your mind is trapped in the past, lamenting what has already happened, or focused on something you don't control. Meanwhile, real life continues its course. A genuine Stoic doesn't dwell on the uncontrollable. Instead, they focus their energy on what they can do at this moment, transforming dissatisfaction into an impulse for action. If you're tired, don't complain about your lack of energy. Go to sleep early. If you don't like your job, don't lament. Seek to improve your skills or explore new opportunities. If the environment is negative, don't complain about the toxicity, distance yourself from the people, or try to steer the conversation elsewhere. The Stoic practice is a powerful antidote to complaining, active gratitude. Instead of focusing on what you lack, consciously direct your attention to what you already have and have achieved. When you feel the urge to complain, ask yourself, what is right in my life right now? What can I be grateful for at this moment? This simple shift in focus from scarcity to abundance recalibrates your mind and shows you that your life is often better than you perceived when you only saw problems. Even negative visualization can foster gratitude. Imagining losing what you have today helps you value the ordinary and complain less about trivialities. It's crucial to observe your surroundings. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain, you are likely to absorb that energy. The Stoics carefully chose their company. If you find yourself in a toxic environment, try to redirect the conversation. By proposing solutions or changing the subject, those who only seek to complain will often distance themselves, freeing you from their negative influence. This is not selfishness, but wise self-preservation and a way to protect your valuable energy. Breaking the cycle of complaining is an act of courage and a declaration that you take responsibility for your life. It is stepping out of the role of passive victim and becoming the active agent of your own destiny. The Stoics did not deny difficulties, but chose to face them with serenity and purpose. One who stops complaining begins to see opportunities where they once saw only obstacles. And above all, they regain control over their mental state and their energy, an essential step to becoming a true winner in life. Embrace radical honesty. Being brutally honest with yourself is, without a doubt, the most difficult, yet also the most liberating and powerful step on the Stoic path. We live in a society that often offers us excuses and tempts us to blame external circumstances or others for our situation. It's easy to point the finger at the world. What's truly hard is looking in the mirror and accepting the unvarnished truth. If your life isn't as you wish, the primary responsibility lies with you. The Stoics didn't waste time on justifications. For them, truth, however uncomfortable, was the only path to freedom and authentic growth, the foundation of personal power. Radical honesty begins by ceasing to lie to yourself and facing reality as it is. It means acknowledging your mistakes, your weaknesses, your moments of inaction or self-sabotage. It's not about self-destructive blame, but about reclaiming your power by taking responsibility. When you say, "I don't have time," Stoic honesty pushes you to rephrase it as, "I haven't prioritized this." When you think, "I can't change," the Stoic principle challenges you to say, "I haven't explored all alternatives." This shift in internal language moves you out of the victim role and places you in the position of a protagonist who can influence their own destiny. The Stoics knew that truth hurts, but it also liberates. Avoiding it or inventing excuses only prolongs suffering and stagnation. Facing your limitations and failures opens the door to genuine change. Stoic figures like Marcus Aurelius or Seneca faced immense adversities but always took responsibility for their responses. They taught that what matters is not what happens to you, but how you react. And an honest response to oneself is the indispensable first step to being able to change. Being brutally honest does not imply being overly self-critical or destructive. It means accepting your imperfections with humility, acknowledging your weaknesses with courage, and admitting your true desires without fear. In a world of social media facades, internal honesty is a revolutionary act. It means stopping playing a role to please others and starting to live in alignment with what truly matters to you. This radical honesty is directed first at yourself, at what you feel, what you want, and what you are willing to do to achieve it. From this unwavering honesty, Stoicism demands action. It's not enough to know the truth. One must act according to it. A useful practice is to write down 3 uncomfortable truths about your life that you have been avoiding. Choose one, and commit to taking a concrete step today to address it. Life is too short to waste it on lies we tell ourselves to feel comfortable in our inaction. Every day that passes without facing these truths is a day lost on the path to personal power. Brutal honesty with oneself is what distinguishes those who move forward from those who remain stagnant. It is the difference between a life of regrets and a life of pride and fulfillment. As the Stoics said, if you seek anything good, find it within yourself. The world will not give you the power and purpose that only you can build from your inner truth. The truth may be uncomfortable, but it empowers you to forge a life of meaning, clarity, and genuine control over your own destiny. Embrace failure as a teacher. The fear of failure is one of the most common chains that bind people to mediocrity, keeping them immobilized in their comfort zones. Society teaches us to avoid error at all costs, to see it as a shameful end. However, Stoicism offers a radically different and empowering perspective for winners, seeing failure not as a definitive setback, but as an invaluable teacher. The Stoics understood that mistakes are not a sign of weakness, but evidence that you are taking risks, that you are acting, that you are moving towards what truly matters. Failure, properly understood, is an indispensable part of the process for achieving lasting success and personal strength. Stoic wisdom begins with a question that forces you to reevaluate your relationship with error. What if you saw every failure as an experiment, as an opportunity to learn and know yourself better? Marcus Aurelius viewed obstacles as the path itself, as opportunities for virtue and growth. When a project doesn't go as expected, a relationship ends, or a goal slips away, the Stoics saw valuable information, raw material to build something stronger and more resilient. In this light, failure ceases to be an endpoint and becomes a brave starting point. The key to transforming failure into power lies in controlling the internal narrative you build around it. Epictetus taught that it is not events that harm us, but the judgment we make of them. Replacing the self-condemnation, "I have failed," with the objective observation, "I have found a way that doesn't work," radically changes the mental game. You remove the moral burden from the error and turn it into a simple fact, a lesson. You are no longer a victim of failure. You become a brave scientist who learns from their real-life experiments. Here, the premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils, is also relevant. Imagining the possibility of failing at something important, a job interview, a project, an exam, emotionally prepares you. Visualize the worst possible scenario and ask yourself, will this destroy me? Will it prevent me from continuing to try? In most cases, the worst imaginable failure is an uncomfortable moment, not the end of the world. This exercise is not pessimism, but an emotional vaccine that makes you more resilient. By familiarizing yourself with the possibility, you strip away the power of paralyzing fear. Action is the quintessential Stoic antidote to paralysis by fear of failure. Seneca warned, "While we hesitate, life passes." Every minute you spend fearing what might go wrong is time stolen from the only place where you can make a difference, the present. Start small. Send that email, even if it's not perfect. Take the first step, even if you don't have everything figured out. Stoicism values consistent steps, not singular heroic acts. Each step gives you information, teaches you something, and allows you to adjust your course. The true danger, according to the Stoic masters, is not failing, but the illusion that you can completely control the outcomes. When you accept that much of the outcomes are beyond your direct control, you release an enormous amount of energy. You can then concentrate that energy on what you can control, your preparation, your effort, your resilience in the face of the unforeseen. Accumulating failures ceases to be a shame and becomes a test of courage, a medal that shows you dared to try, to break free from inaction. In the Stoic mindset, the only real failure is inaction, the refusal to try. One who has never fallen has never learned the strength needed to get up. One who has never made a mistake has never truly explored their limits and capabilities. The fear of failure is like a dirty mirror that shows you monsters that only exist in your imagination. Clean it with consistent action, with the rational reinterpretation of setbacks, and with the certainty that every attempt, even if it doesn't turn out as you expected, strengthens you and brings you closer to self-mastery, making you a true victor in the inner battle. Practice empathetic detachment. Empathy, the ability to understand and share another's feelings, is often misunderstood. Some confuse it with weakness or with the obligation to take on others' problems as their own. Stoicism teaches us a form of empathy that does not weaken you, but strengthens you and helps you exercise your personal power constructively. Stoic empathy does not mean getting lost in others' suffering or allowing others to take advantage of your goodwill. It is like a doctor who feels compassion for their patient but maintains professional distance to be able to heal them. The ability to understand without being swept away, to connect with shared humanity without sacrificing your own well-being or principles. The crucial line between healthy empathy and power-draining submission is crossed when you sacrifice your own values, time, and energy to gain others' approval or avoid conflict. The Stoics practiced justice as a supreme virtue, and that included treating others with dignity, but also demanding the same dignity for oneself. Constantly giving in, listening without receiving support, forgiving endlessly without the other person changing, are acts that go against the Stoic principle of self-justice and turn you into a doormat, not a winner. True kindness requires discernment, knowing whom to help, whom to guide, and yes, from whom to distance yourself when their influence is toxic and unilateral. Learning to say no is a fundamental act of self-control and an expression of personal power. When someone crosses your boundaries, a firm yet respectful response is not a lack of empathy. It is essential self-respect. The Stoics compared the mind to a fortress that must be protected from constant assaults. Practice the Stoic pause before accepting a request. Ask yourself if agreeing brings you closer to your priorities and values or takes you away from them. If it takes you away, a polite refusal is an act of courage that preserves your energy and time for what truly matters. Stoic justice demands that you treat yourself with the same consideration you show others. You cannot give from an empty vessel. Honoring your own needs and boundaries is not selfishness. It is a necessary condition to have the strength and capacity to help others meaningfully. By setting clear boundaries, you teach people how to treat you and regain an immense amount of power previously wasted on pleasing and avoiding conflicts. True empathy, the kind that strengthens your personal power, arises from self-compassion. When you understand your own struggles, you are better able to understand others without judgment. But this understanding does not force you to suffer with them. It allows you to offer support, if appropriate and sustainable for you, without being consumed by their emotional state. Stoic empathy is a lighthouse, not an anchor. It illuminates the path for both but does not sink you along with the other person. Master the art of empathy with discernment and protect your mental space, and you will have transformed a quality often seen as vulnerability into a source of strength and relational wisdom. Conquer procrastination with purpose. Modern life bombards us with distractions, notifications, social media, the incessant background noise of our lives. It's easy to be carried away by constant urgency, reacting to the latest thing that catches our attention rather than acting with clear purpose. The Stoics, though they didn't have smartphones, understood the battle for concentration and the need to direct attention with intention. For them, procrastination was not laziness, it was a form of fear, of avoiding important work due to fear of failure or effort. The Stoic winner knows that power resides in the present, in the ability to focus on the task at hand, without delays or distractions. Stoicism teaches us that our mind is our most valuable possession, and our ability to direct it is the source of our power. When you procrastinate, you are ceding control of your mind to momentary impulses or an aversion to discomfort. You are postponing purposeful action in favor of instant gratification or avoidance. Marcus Aurelius, despite the enormous responsibilities of governing an empire, constantly reminded himself of the importance of diligent action and doing what was right, not for reward, but because it was the right thing to do. Procrastination is a form of self-deception, a lie you tell yourself to avoid the reality of necessary effort. A powerful Stoic antidote to procrastination is the practice of starting. Don't worry about perfection or seeing the task completed. Simply take the first step. The Stoics valued progress, not impeccability. By starting, you break inertia and often discover that the task was not as daunting as you imagined. Break large tasks into small, manageable steps. Focus only on the current step. This is a direct application of the principle of controlling the controllable. You cannot control the final success, but you can control taking the next step. Premeditatio malorum can also be useful here. Imagine the consequences of procrastinating. Last-minute stress, diminished work quality, lost opportunities, feelings of regret. Honestly confronting the cost of delay provides a rational impulse to act. The temporary discomfort of facing a task pales in comparison to the long-term anguish of chronic procrastination. The Stoics saw work and purposeful action as an essential part of a virtuous life. It wasn't just about fulfilling obligations, but about exercising reason and contributing to the common good. To procrastinate is to relinquish that opportunity for growth and service. It is a form of self-limiting your own potential. When faced with a task you tend to postpone, ask yourself, what would a virtuous person do in my place? Probably they would act with diligence, focus, and determination. Overcoming procrastination is a continuous act of self-discipline and a reaffirmation of your control over your own mind and time. It is choosing the harder but more rewarding path of purposeful action over the deceptive ease of delay. By conquering procrastination, you unleash an immense amount of energy and capacity to achieve significant things, becoming a more effective individual and ultimately a winner in managing your own life. Accept what you cannot control. Our society constantly pushes us to seek more money, more possessions, more status, more pleasures. This external and insatiable pursuit is, for the Stoics, the primary source of suffering and anxiety. We become slaves to our desires, always yearning for what we don't have and fearing losing what we've acquired. The Stoic winner finds true wealth not in external accumulation, but in inner richness, virtue, wisdom, serenity, and self-sufficiency. They practice moderation not as a form of deprivation, but as a path to freedom and lasting contentment. Moderation, for the Stoics, was a key virtue. It was about finding the right balance in all aspects of life, in food, drink, pleasure, work. It was not about avoiding pleasure altogether, but about not being dominated by it. When you depend on external factors for your happiness, you become vulnerable. If your well-being depends on having the latest gadget, a large amount of money, or constant approval, your happiness is at the mercy of forces you do not control. The Stoics practiced exercises of voluntary asceticism, such as periods with less food, clothing, or comforts, not as self-punishment, but to strengthen their resilience and prove to themselves that they could be happy with little. This practice helps you distinguish between your real needs and your superfluous desires. It teaches you to appreciate what you already have and to fear less the loss of material possessions. Moderation also applies to our emotions and reactions. Excessive reactions of anger, sadness, or euphoria unbalance us. The Stoic seeks equanimity, a balanced calm that is not indifference but control over one's own passions. This allows you to navigate the highs and lows of life with greater stability and clarity. Constant dissatisfaction often comes from comparing our lives with others or desiring what we don't need. Moderation counters this by focusing on what is sufficient and virtuous for you. Seneca wrote extensively about the dangers of wealth and the pursuit of luxuries, arguing that they often bring more problems than solutions and distract us from what truly matters. Cultivating our character. Practicing moderation is an act of self-possession. It is reclaiming your power from the dictates of consumer society and your own insatiable desires. It is finding contentment in simplicity, appreciating what you already have, and building your happiness on a solid internal foundation. By mastering moderation, you free yourself from external dependence and become a winner capable of finding wealth and satisfaction within yourself, regardless of external circumstances. Transform suffering into strength. Pain, loss, illness, death. These are unavoidable aspects of human existence. Often we try to avoid them at all costs, living with a subtle fear that these realities will catch up to us. Stoicism doesn't offer a way to escape suffering, but it teaches you to face it with a strength and dignity that make you a winner in the face of adversity. The Stoics understood that true suffering does not come from the event itself, but from our resistance to and judgment of it. The Stoic key to facing suffering lies in the distinction between pain, the initial physical or emotional sensation, and suffering, the amplification of that pain through our negative thoughts and judgments. You can feel pain, but you can choose not to add suffering to it. This is achieved by accepting the reality of the event without resisting it, without judging it as bad or unjust. Premeditatio malorum is fundamental in this context. By contemplating the possibility of loss or suffering, you mentally prepare yourself. You don't wallow in misery, but you familiarize yourself with the idea, thereby weakening its power to shock and overwhelm you when, or if, it occurs. Seneca said that the blow that is foreseen hurts less. When faced with suffering, the Stoic response is not denial, but rational acceptance. Recognize the pain, allow it to exist, but do not identify with it. Remember that your thoughts and judgments are separable from the event itself. Ask yourself, what is objective here? What part of my suffering is caused by my own interpretations or resistance? Often, you will find that much of the anguish is self-inflicted. The Stoics saw adversity as an opportunity to practice virtues: courage, resilience, patience, wisdom. Suffering becomes a training ground to strengthen your character. You don't become strong by avoiding difficulties, but by facing and overcoming them. Marcus Aurelius, in the midst of pandemics and wars, found in these challenges the opportunity to exercise his virtue as emperor and as a man. Embracing the fragility of life and the inevitability of suffering frees you from constant fear. It allows you to live more fully in the present, appreciating what you have, knowing it is temporary. It doesn't mean becoming insensitive, but cultivating a resilience that allows you to bend but not break under the pressure of adversity. Face suffering with courage, wisdom, and acceptance, and you will demonstrate an inner strength that makes you a true winner, capable of finding dignity and purpose even in the midst of darkness. Cultivate healthy relationships and boundaries. Stoicism is not a philosophy for hermits. It recognizes the importance of human relationships for a good life. However, it warns against excessive dependence on others for our happiness and well-being. The Stoic winner cultivates meaningful relationships based on mutual respect and shared values, but maintains their emotional independence, knowing that the true source of their contentment resides within themselves. The dichotomy of control is crucial in relationships. You cannot control others, their actions, their feelings, whether they stay in your life or leave. Placing your happiness in someone else's hands is ceding your power. Stoic wisdom teaches you to value people, to enjoy their company, and to act with justice and kindness toward them, but without attaching yourself in a way that their absence or change would destroy you. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means building your own internal foundation of stability. When your happiness depends on yourself, you can relate to others from a place of strength and generosity, rather than need and fear. You can love and value deeply, but without the paralyzing anguish of attachment. Practicing gratitude for the relationships you have is a way to honor them in the present, acknowledging their value without assuming their permanence. At the same time, negative visualization can help you prepare for the possibility of loss, not to diminish the value of the relationship, but to strengthen your ability to face reality if it were to occur. The Stoics valued friendship based on virtue, relationships that would help you be a better person. Choose to surround yourself with people who inspire and support you on your path to growth, and at the same time, be that person for others. Contribute positively to your relationships. Be a loyal friend and a valuable member of your community. Interdependence is natural and healthy, but dependence is detrimental. Cultivate relationships wisely, focusing on the quality of your interactions and the virtue you bring to them, rather than on the need for validation or security. By maintaining your internal center and not surrendering your power to the approval or presence of others, you build more authentic relationships and become a winner in the art of connecting with humanity without losing yourself. Live fully in the present moment. Modern life, with its accelerated pace and constant demands, often leaves us feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. We focus on the destination, on the final goal, and forget to appreciate the journey. Stoicism, however, reminds us that life is lived in the present in every instant. The Stoic winner finds power and purpose not only in achieving goals, but in the quality of their experience at every step of the way. Mindfulness, though associated with other traditions, has a clear Stoic resonance. It's about being fully present in the here and now, observing your thoughts, feelings, and the world around you without judgment. When your mind is constantly wandering to the past, regrets, or the future, anxieties, you lose the only moment you have power to act, the present. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about the importance of paying attention to each individual task, doing it with complete concentration and diligence. This is a way of honoring the present moment. No matter how mundane the task, give it your complete attention. When washing dishes, wash the dishes. When listening to someone, truly listen. Appreciating the present is an antidote to chronic dissatisfaction. Often we are so focused on what we lack or what is to come that we don't see the richness that already exists in our daily lives. The practice of gratitude helps us anchor ourselves in the present and appreciate the small things. A hot cup of coffee, a conversation with a friend, a moment of calm. The future is uncertain and largely uncontrollable. The past no longer exists. The only place where you have power is in this instant. Focusing on the present doesn't mean ignoring the future or the past entirely, but not allowing them to steal the energy and attention you need to act effectively right now. Plan for the future, learn from the past, but live and act fully in the present. Living mindfully requires constant practice. Your mind will wander. It's its nature. The key is to notice when it happens and gently bring your attention back to the present. Every time you do this, you are strengthening your capacity for concentration and your control over your own mind. Focusing on the present frees you from the burden of regret, past, and anxiety, future. It allows you to respond to circumstances as they are, rather than as you would like them to be or as you fear they might be. Live each moment with awareness, diligence, and appreciation, and you will discover that true victory is not in the final goal, but in the mastery of yourself at every step of the way. Embrace mortality. Many people live with a deep fear of death. This aversion to mortality can paralyze us, leading us to avoid living fully for fear of losing what we have. Stoicism offers a radical perspective on death, not as a terrifying end, but as a natural and inevitable part of life's cycle. Accepting death, according to the Stoics, is fundamental to living a truly free and purposeful life. Meditation on mortality, or memento mori, remember that you will die, is a central Stoic practice. It's not about becoming morbid or pessimistic, but about gaining perspective. Remembering that your time is limited helps you prioritize what truly matters, stop postponing purposeful action, and live each day with greater appreciation and virtuous urgency. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the brevity of life and the insignificance of trivial worries in light of eternity. This perspective allowed him to focus on what was within his control, acting with virtue, reason, and justice in the time allotted to him. The fear of death for the Stoics was often a fear of the unknown or of losing external things, possessions, reputation, relationships. By detaching yourself from these things and building your inner well-being, the fear of death diminishes. Acceptance of death also frees you from the fear of loss. If you understand that everything is temporary, you appreciate what you have in the present without the constant anguish that it will end. You know that relationships will end, possessions will be gone, your own body will decay. This understanding is not sad, it is liberating. It allows you to fully enjoy what you have while you have it. Death is the ultimate externum, something completely beyond your control. Trying to resist or deny it is a losing battle that generates immense anguish. Stoic wisdom invites you to accept this reality with serenity and to focus your energy on how you live the time you have been granted. The quality of your life is not measured by its duration, but by how you live it. Contemplating death reminds you that every day is a gift and an opportunity to live according to your values. It urges you to act with courage, to speak the truth, to seek wisdom, and to contribute to the common good. Death is not the enemy. It is the reminder that prompts you to live with purpose, By accepting mortality, you conquer one of the deepest fears and become a winner who lives with freedom, urgency, and a deep appreciation for the life you have right now. We have explored 10 Stoic principles that serve as a powerful guide to cultivating inner strength and becoming a true winner in the game of life. From the strategic power of silence and mastering your reactions to criticism and complaining, to brutal honesty with yourself, transforming failure into learning, discerning empathy, mastering your attention, accepting the uncontrollable, moderation in your desires, and the courage to embrace mortality. These are not abstract concepts to be debated in a classroom. They are practical tools to be applied in the arena of your daily life. They are the foundations upon which you can build an impregnable mind, an inner fortress that will allow you to navigate any external storm with serenity and purpose. Stoicism does not promise you a life without difficulties, but the ability to face those difficulties with dignity and strength. The Stoic path is not easy. It requires constant practice, self-awareness, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself and the world. But the reward is immeasurable. The freedom from being enslaved by your emotions or by others' opinions, the serenity that comes from accepting what you cannot change, and the power that arises from relentlessly focusing on what you can control, your character and your actions. A Stoic winner is not someone who never falls, but someone who always gets up, wiser and stronger after every fall. It is someone who finds success not in external validation, but in the integrity of their own conduct. It is someone who, even amidst chaos, maintains calm and mental clarity, acting with reason and virtue. I invite you to take one of these principles today and begin practicing it. Don't seek immediate perfection, seek progress. Every small victory in self-mastery is a giant step on your path to becoming the strong, resilient, and wise person you know you can be. Remember that your power resides within you. The most important battle is fought in your own mind. Apply these Stoic principles, hold your tongue when necessary, find your power in self-mastery, and become the true winner you are meant to be. If this message has resonated with you, like the video, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to the channel for more practical wisdom. Thank you for joining me on this journey. The path to your mastery begins now.